But when you probe anything, it brings out its reality more clearly. If it's false, it will expose the falseness. If you're really happy and you go into that feeling, you begin to feel the actual origin of happiness, which is the sun in your heart that makes you feel like you are that radiance. And it's spontaneous and wonderful. And nobody has to tell you different. You can feel its radiance. You feel the glow. You feel that palpable sense of it. So we don't have to be scared of probing anything. When you actually have heart and mind working together, it's a gentle spirit that just says, oh, let's just see. Let's just see what's under that rock. The curiosity and innocence begins to get more and more part of the search. And that innocence is the wonder of everything that is. Everything and anything. And I'd love to hear your questions because I feel them bubbling. But what I would love to do is read a passage that just shows the process a little bit of how something happened for me that was extremely painful and what I learned. And it was a short passage, but it was something that I think really exemplifies our work, our approach, our attitude, and it can be helpful. And one of the things you'll find when you read this book is there's one particular character that threads through the entire thing. Has anybody read the book yet? Who was it that threaded through the whole thing? My doggie. My dog, Mushka. She was a delight, and it's the only four-legged that Hamid ever took to. Kuwaitis don't think much about pets, especially dogs, but actually, he did have a bird as a pet, and you'll read about that too. And he said, well, Mushka's not a pet. He said, she's just like Logos, my bird. I said, well, what's that? He goes, one of the family. But anyway, Mushka, I had left my first husband, and that was very difficult for me. It was a very charmed life. It was everything I had ever hoped and never thought I could have. A handsome young man, a doctor, well-educated, brilliant, really. He was just beginning his life. He had a promising future. And I left for various reasons. It just wasn't the right thing. It wasn't like our marriage was terrible, but I had to go. So one morning I woke up from the little apartment that I had rented. My dog was there, and I looked at her, but I just kind of spoke out into the room. Alone again, I sighed. My voice sounded damp and low. The white fluff near me was sweet company, but the white fluff was her. She was white. She was a Samoyed. I didn't always mind living alone. And I looked at her and I thought, well, mostly alone. But there were times like this morning when I felt an emptiness filling with unhappiness. I wanted a lover, human comfort. I wanted intimacy. Thanks, girl. I love you too. I was looking at her and feeling our companionship. I wandered through the billowing fog of ideas, hopes and desires, and sifted through my sensations. Some tension at my sternum and the left side of my diaphragm drew my attention. And I breathed into the area. Yearning swelled, then crested in the center of my chest. Tears spilled out of my eyes. I suspended my ideas of what would quell the pain and simply felt the yearning. The sadness felt heavy at first, but as I let go into it, I felt the release of pressure. The tears pooled in my ears and flowed down in delicate, salty trails to the pillow. The emptiness grew, and I wailed and moaned in primitive, unrecognizable sounds. The release relaxed my body into a deepening quiet, and a softness filled my heart. Warm, green compassion soothed my aching being. Then I felt my heart flowering from the center of itself, rooted in silence. A quiet, black, velvety space opened and invited me into its depth. Nourishing nectars streamed, melting me into a simple solitude. I continued to soften as the space around me deepened with richness. I was touched in an exquisite way beyond the spacious darkness inside every cell of my being. I realized I had always thought of intimacy as a romantic encounter, a candlelight and roses kind of thing, and, most important, staring into someone else's eyes. This new sweet interiority made it apparent how being in love was the very essence of intimacy. In the middle of my chest, every kind of love arose as different essential aspects: will, strength, kindness, brilliance, even power existed in my heart as diamond love. Each gem was rounded in the middle with a pearly fullness. It was remarkably impersonal, yet personal at the same time. The pregnant love diamonds in the black expanse revealed that this structure was the treasure of my own true heart. For those of you who don't know about the pearliness in our work, it represents the true individual, not the individual of ego that's separated, but a true individual of fullness, uniqueness, and presence. I felt rich, whole, and beautiful. The longing to find another person to complete me evaporated. I had found an intimacy and love of incomparable grace. My heart was so smart. I got up off the futon and floated to the back door to let Mushka out for her morning rounds through the neighborhood. Inhaling a deep breath of fresh air, I found the freedom of movement in my ribs and torso, a sensual pleasure. I drank in the sounds of the birds with their lively banter, the scolding squirrels scurrying through the thistles. The world was vibrant and alive, and I felt in personal contact with it all. Weightless, flying free like the sparrows, I began my day's activities.